Welcome to the Phoenix music scene on the YetiRadio.com. The Yeti Radio, powered by DavidLeeImaging.com. David Lee Imaging in the Titletown Music Archive and the Live 365 app. The Yeti Radio.
It's alive!
The Yeti.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the YetiRadio.com, live on YouTube, Twitch, and all the audio-only streaming platforms at the YetiRadio.com. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight we have in studio, the band is called He Then, and he's going to start it off with a song tonight. Yeah. And so I normally play them recorded, and whenever somebody wants to come play live, I am all open arms about it. So here we go. Take it away, Tim.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. First off, I'm super excited. Love Yeti Radio. So I'll play a song from my first album. It's called Old Scabs. It's about healing. This world's a little colder than you ever thought it'd be. So your heart's a little bolder. It helps you to feel free. First we burn, then we heal. Maybe learn more than we feel. More than we feel. Old scabs ain't real. New scabs
have it. Welcome again, sir.
Well, thank you very much again.
I think I had a little bit of somewhat of an audio catastrophe. I think I got it ironed out in the middle of it. Cool. Sorry about that. Trying to get used to doing that because it's becoming a little more popular, and I'm enjoying it. So, who gets to have somebody come play live for them?
Anytime for you, man.
But definitely. So, when did all this start for you musically?
Well, the solo thing's kind of new, but music in general, it was really the only escape I had as a kid. It's not a whole lot of things that have universal access. When you're poor, when you're dealing with stuff like that. But music, you can always access music. So it was my escape when I was younger. Started playing in bands around 17 or 18, none of which were very good. Was in bands for most of my early 20s, and then I took a hiatus when I thought I couldn't do it anymore, and that was some of the loneliest 5 or 6 years I've ever had. Started doing bands again, and then now I was surrounded by much better musicians, and the bands were a lot better, but they kept breaking up. So I think it was last April of 2022, my drummer in my last band happened to be my drummer. I think we followed each other through 3 bands. He was like, all these songs that you write that weren't working for the the full band platform. He goes, why don't you take those and go into the studio and record some of them? So I did. First album came out, got a couple shows right off the bat, but then I couldn't buy a gig. And then around last October or November, I did a show with Killing Sunday and met a couple other bands, and it just kind of took off, and now I've been getting shows ever since, and then released my second album April of this year, and I just keep going at it, because as long as I keep getting shows, I'm going to keep doing it. So
absolutely. And I got to see at least one of those, and it's amazing. I really enjoy the depth and quality of what you've put together.
Well, thank you very much.
The drummer, did he do drums for you in the studio?
No, he did not. But we kind of have some plans to make that happen.
Okay.
Because this is, of all the musicians that I've ever done anything with in my entire career, him and I we click. We've gotten to the point where we don't even need to look at each other to read each other. We know each other's next move. So I mean, I call him my drummer. I don't own him, but I mean, he's also probably my closest, most trusted friend as well, outside of music. So it would just make sense. And he's kind of excited to do it, because once I started this, he hasn't really been doing anything musically, and 100% supportive of what I do, but he wants back in, and I want him back in. It's just a matter of logistics at this point.
Getting it put together.
Yeah.
How many bands over the years do you think actually got it right the first time around with members? Was there really anybody?
The only one that comes to mind, and I mean, because even with bands like the Beatles, they had a 5th member, and they had, the only band to me that comes to mind where they got it right the first time with all the same members and hit like right on time was Boston, because they actually didn't know each other like 2 months before that album came out. That first album, they were introduced by music teachers. They were students a couple of them were students at Cambridge, I think, or something. That's really the only one that comes to mind, because even the great ones, they had members come and go, or they were called by a different name, and then so I think it's kind of rare that bands get it right the very first time. It seems to me, Yeah.
Well, I've kind of gotten frustrated from the aspect of what I do. On my website, there's the Backstage Lounge, and it says band members only, and it's usually a picture of the band and then their logo and a link.
Yeah.
Well, I'm removing the pictures of the bands.
Yeah.
And just putting their logos up.
Okay. Yeah.
Because some of them are changing often.
Yeah.
And then I go to do something, and that guy's not in the band anymore.
Yeah.
and I didn't know, and so I'm just going to use the logos, and then it's safe because it's still he's in. Yeah. No matter who's in it, it's he's in. Or whoever else.
And if a member leaves, so that's one of the advantages of being a solo act is if the band breaks up, it's your fault.
Right.
There's not. It's not. You don't, and you also don't have to rely on other people to make gigs or make rehearsal. You can have rehearsal anytime you want, as long as I can jump in my little music room. I pick up a guitar. There's a rehearsal before a show. You don't have to get multiple people together. So.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Simplicity.
Yeah.
You always played the guitar?
Yes. I had a family friend. I think it was a great uncle, something along that line. It was a family friend that we were pretty close with that helped us a lot when we were having trouble. Their great uncle, I think it was, passed away, and they had a guitar, and they thought of me immediately because I was always a little weird kid at family functions and parties that I wrote poetry and I sang all the time. So they thought of me immediately because I was always singing, and I got the guitar, and for the most part I'm self-taught. I think that shows that I'm self-taught. I was 12 or 13, and I always loved singing. I was always kind of mesmerized by drummers. John Bonham, Zeppelin was one of my first loves because of my mom, and to me there was nobody like John Bonham. And I always loved drums, and I was mesmerized by drummers, and I always thought I'll get older and get a drum set. But then I had a guitar given to me, and the first sound I made on it was not a chord by any means, but just the vibration and the feel of it in my hand. I'm like, oh, I'm a guitarist. And I just knew that at 12 or 13, and it stuck. So,
my grandfather gave me his guitar, and it had our names on it. And due to mental instabilities as a child, I was one of those kids.
Yeah.
There's about 3 years of my life I don't remember at all. But it was, I wish I could have done something with it.
Yeah.
I just don't have the capacity. And I don't know if it's a combination of that, not to mention size, because they don't make the size.
Well, you might try this one. This is one of the biggest guitars that was ever that's in production, I think, as far as acoustics. But I mean, music is still obviously always been a very large part of your life, and you don't have to make it for it to mean a lot. I mean, it's it seems to be the foundation of just about everybody I've surrounded myself with, yourself included. Music it's kind of the foundation of everything else.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I know the 2 years, due to complications with my son and COVID, I didn't come in here for 2 years.
Yeah.
And when I finally came back in here, and the idea of introducing me to Penny with Rockin' Free, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are. And I now know that years ago, when I actually started the little segment called the Phoenix Music Scene in the station I was doing, I'm like, this has to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is yet, and I'm learning, and I'm still learning, and there's a lot to learn here.
Yep. There's
so much history, and the station's actually kind of a time capsule. It's the old stuff, the new stuff, the future stuff, however you want to look at it, but just the opportunity for people to be heard.
Yeah.
Because you guys don't get a lot of that opportunity other than on stage. And if you don't get people out there, how else are you going to reach them?
Yeah, I mean, let's
make a fucking radio station.
Let's make a radio station. It makes sense. I mean, and it's this I think is actually a much more profound platform. Playing to just you and the people listening out there feels a lot more authentic. I mean, I've played just recently. I played a show. I started my set, and I am not sensationalizing or over exaggerating. When I started my set, the only person there was the bartender. So, like it's like you said, if you can't get people out, you get a stage, but if you can't get people in front of it, it's just kind of a glorified rehearsal at that point. But I mean, I'll still scream and yell and sing whatever these songs are called, whatever kind of music this is, I'll keep doing it. But,
What is the meaning behind He Then?
So the first thing there was always in the back of my mind the desire. I'd always wanted to go solo, right? As much as I love rock music and being in full bands, a lot of my formative years I also listened to a lot of Bob Dylan, James Taylor, John Denver, Jim Croce, these solo folk acts and singer-songwriters that really captivated me too, because they had full creative control, and they had control of a room as one person. So I always the idea of going solo was always kind of there, and then when it started, it was very obvious that it was going to happen. I don't know if I got too cute, but I always liked the idea of a solo project with a band name, because like Iron and Wine. He's a solo artist, but he has a band name. So I was going to do that. I was like, I want to do that. And growing up as a kid, the family that I came from, I know this probably won't surprise a lot of people listening tonight that know me, but I was a bit outcasty. I was the black sheep. I never fell in line, and my family was pretty fucked up. And there was a lot of unaddressed mental illness, a lot of addiction, a lot of chaos, but they were still very, very judgmental. And even though I was the only one in the family that did actually seem to give a shit about like my fellow man and like doing something that mattered, even as a little kid, they always called me a heathen, because I didn't go to church every Sunday. And so when it was time to go solo, I'm like, that's it, it's going to be called Heathen. But obviously that name is taken by a couple of metal bands, one of which is an American band, and there's another one, Japan or something like that. So obviously Heathen is taken. So I thought I would do he, then, because it could be like he then wrote a song, or he then got in a fight. But then if you say it together, solo. Or he then went solo. And if you say it real fast, it's also heathen. So I didn't have to steal somebody else's band name, and I probably got too cute, but it's stuck, and it is what it is. So
it's cute. It works. Oh man! So you're originally from Arizona?
I am.
Okay.
I'm from Flagstaff. I was born in Flagstaff, but I was raised in Show Low, a little town up in eastern Arizona. I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that have been in Phoenix for a while. Have probably been up there to go camping or go fishing or something. It's definitely an outdoorsy area, but there's not a whole lot else going on. So being a teenager there was kind of tough.
And it snows a lot. That's why I'm down here.
Yeah.
No more snow.
It's the good thing about the snow up there is it'll dump snow, but then it melts off real fast. By like 2 days later, there's no snow there. But it does stay cold.
Yes.
But, yeah.
So what's some of your best inspiration for writing songs?
It stems from so most of my teenage years, and unfortunately most of my 20s, I spent not being aware at all of my mental illnesses. And instead of addressing them, I would self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. And I did that for a number of years. And I'm sober now. I've been for a while. And I've recently addressed my mental illness professionally and clinically, not just like saying that I am. And the professionals that I deal with said that you always had one of the most healthy coping mechanisms that there is in music. You just utilized other things instead. So the inspiration, and it comes at all times of the day. That's why I have like lyric books and stuff laying all around. But kind of the main inspiration is to get out all of the things that I suppressed with drugs and alcohol for most of my childhood and a good chunk of my adult life. And to get it out there, to have it out in the universe instead of keeping it all inside of me. and maybe hopefully possibly reaching just one person that is where I was at 10, 12 years ago, that could like maybe hear somebody that maybe they feel like gets them and maybe could pull them out of some shit. So just getting it out mostly, but I really want to be a voice for, we don't talk about mental illness or addiction enough. We talk about it in the context of it's something that's a problem, but then we don't do anything about it to help each other or help ourselves. So kind of to be a voice for kind of the voiceless, as cheesy as that sounds.
No, I understand, because I come at it from a militaristic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
For me to and that doesn't work in today's society, and there's a lot of bumps.
Yeah.
So I get it, and you guys, everybody on that banner that floats through, and then some, because there's a whole lot more that need to get on there that I haven't had time to get put on there yet. Plus others I need to find to put on there, but it helps.
Yeah.
Big time. It's there's other issues outside of, but it's definitely one of the things that's just amazing to sit there and just veg.
Yeah. I mean, it takes you. It takes you away. It takes you somewhere else. And the beautiful thing about it is art in general, but music especially, means something very profound to each person in different ways. The same way as like you write a song and put it out in the universe, and you wrote it about a certain thing, but each listener, it means something different to them. And that's kind of we can't ever, and music makes it hard to do this, which is another reason why music is so important, is there's never the expectation that what this song means to me is going to mean the same thing to you, but we can both enjoy the same song at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm partial to instrumentals.
Yeah.
So that I don't get in somebody else's thought process.
Yeah. Tied up in the lyrics almost. Yeah.
Because for me that's not hard to do, and so when I can grab an instrumental and then do my own thing mentally, and it's very refreshing. Not that it's not refreshing when somebody's got lyrics to a song, but it's just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But so you've got, let's see, where's your favorite place to play locally?
So far, I love playing Crescent. I love playing. I mean, Crescent probably sticks out. I love playing Crescent and Rhythm Room, and Rhythm Room means a lot to me because it's a Phoenix staple, mm-hmm. and it's a. Let's be honest, it's kind of a shitty hole in the wall, but it's our shitty hole in the wall, and I have seen a lot of my heroes there. So when I got to play that stage, that meant like a lot to me. So Rhythm Room and Crescent stick out, but I mean, there's a lot of good venues around here. It's just Phoenix is so spread out, It's so spread out. You can play a show kind of out here by you, and then the very next weekend you're playing something over in Chandler or AJ or something. So
yeah, that makes it hard because I'm all the way over here, and then the furthest one that I know of offhand is the Rooms.
Yeah.
Over with Show Me God, and that's 40 miles.
Yeah.
One way.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God. So I wish we had more out here.
Yeah.
On the west side, we're getting some, but slowly but surely.
The 44 mm-hmm. over there on Peoria and Far. I mean, it's starting to. I mean, there wasn't really too much west of the I-17 not that long ago as far as like live music venues. There was little tiny ones, like there was a place called Donna Jean's Libations that I played at once or twice. Tiny little place. It's just they spring up, and I think a lot of them are they're like restaurants. They fail kind of pretty quick if they don't catch on, unfortunately. And again, like you said, it's so spread out. It's hard to get friends. Like if you say I'm gonna be playing this show like at Blues. I've done quite a few shows at Blues. That's right by my house, but that's 30 miles from a lot of my friends' house.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, oh, it's a quick shot. I can just jump across the 51, the Blues bar, and my friends are like, yeah, I'm still at work. So yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I get to make it is because I have an earlier shift. So when I get done, it's I can come home, unwind, and mess around with the kids for a little bit, tickle them, have fun, kiss the wife, and then run to a show.
Instead of going straight I've gone to shows straight from work before.
Yes,
that's interesting.
There's been a few that were real early that I brought a change of clothes and changed in the bathroom, jumped in the car, and went to the show.
Yeah, because you don't question whether you're going to go to the show. It's not a matter of if you're going to the show. It's not like, well, do I need to bring a change of clothes to work, or are they still working on, is the 10 going to close tonight?
Right.
So
that plays a big part for me on if I go somewhere.
Yeah.
If they got a free section of the freeway closed,
I
can't get to that side of town without it taking an extra half hour
or more.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's just not worth it, and I'm like, I've done it a couple times, and I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
We're not spring chickens anymore, right? As they say.
Those gas prices aren't coming down either.
No, they're not.
In fact, they're going up.
I was going to say, I think they went up overnight the other night. I went to the gas station. I was like, I think it went up again, like by 40 cents. But
if you could play anywhere in the world, where would you want to play?
Oh, goodness.
Your pick. I win the $1 billion lottery, and I go, I'm going to put you in the venue you want to be in.
Oh, goodness. I mean, I am partial to the cities of Eastern Europe. But as far as like a venue, if I'm going to pick a specific venue, I would die happy if I ever got to play Red Rocks in Denver.
I can't get anybody out of Red Rocks. Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the natural... That rock formation was put there to have live music bounce off of it.
Apparently, yes. Fortunately, we had a local band that just got to play there.
Oh, who?
The Irie. They were on tour with Rome and Sublime.
Oh, no kidding.
And they went through Red Rocks. So
lucky. Good for them.
I'm trying to get them in here so we can find out how that was.
Yeah. I'll be listening for that. I'll be listening to that one.
Yeah, they're a great bunch of guys, and they had a pop-up show, and I'm like, what's a pop-up show? Never heard of that. I guess I'm going to find out. So I went to a pop-up show, and there was like 20 of us. And it was only about 4 times the size of this.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and look, a crowd of 20, I've had crowds of 15 or 20 people or less, 8 to 10 people that were more appreciative of the music, more into it, paid more attention to it, and were a warmer, more likable crowd than when I've played for 50, 60, 70 people. So,
right.
I mean, it's sometimes the smaller crowds are the ones like they came there to see live music.
Yes.
They came there to check out something that they hadn't heard before, and that's kind of where you garner a lot more interest. You get done with your set, and now all 10 or 15 of those people that were watching you want to know where your music is and where they can stream it. So, yeah.
Well, over the last 20, almost 25 years. Actually, a little bit more, maybe 26 years, 27 years. Anyway, I've had some aspect or interaction with entertainment.
Yeah.
And the frustrating thing for me is to watch all these people pay all this money for these tickets, and they show up for the one thing, and then leave.
Yeah.
If I'm paying that kind of money, I'm coming in when it starts, and I ain't leaving until it's done. I want to see the whole show.
Well, I mean,
me personally.
The thing is too is that some of my favorite artists I've discovered as the opening act for who I went to go see. too. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and you miss that. Like one of my biggest inspirations as far as musically is the Milk Carton Kids, and I discovered them by accident because I went to see my hero Joe Purdy at the Rhythm Room, and they were opening. It was their first tour in like 2011, and my wife and I were just absolutely blown away by their song crafting, their harmonies, and we might never have discovered them if they hadn't been the opening act for my hero. And you go there, that's why, like you said, that's why you go there at the start. You paid that money, but also a lot of these times these opening acts are just as amazing as the headliner. And like, why miss out on discovering something that could really move you? You know,
especially if you're going to somebody that's made it.
Yeah.
But they've got those that haven't quite yet.
Yeah.
And you might miss out on something.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss.
I don't. Yeah. Fear of the FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like you know I've heard stories of intimate settings, like the one with the pop-up, and I'm like, now I have mine.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, something happens, and they blow up one day, and I have that.
You have that
20-person setting with it was just chill.
And that's the great thing about memories and memories of music is they don't. Nobody can take that from you.
Yes,
that
definitely.
stays with you. So. Yeah.
And it's just totally amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really.
I get lost in it.
Me too. I'll tell you. I mean, obviously, the interactions you and I have already had even before this interview is you and I will get stuck talking about music all night. So.
Yeah, this interview might be real long, so everybody be patient.
Yeah. Well, I don't want. I mean, your time is important. I don't want to take it away. So if you need to cut me off and tell me to shut the fuck up, I'm a grown man. I can take it.
No. This is fun. This is because of my psyche. This is a better environment for me to have a conversation because I can focus.
Yeah.
When we're at a venue, there's a whole lot of stuff going on and a whole lot of people, and I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah, my attention span is if I'm not talking specifically about music to another music fan, or I'm not on stage concentrating on my set, I tend to squirrel. Yeah. Yes. I do that. I do that. I've been that way since I was a young man. So. Yeah.
So are you working on new music for a new album?
I actually have enough for another album already.
Okay.
So I have. I mean, I went into the studio with my first album with. I didn't want to take any of the. I've always been the primary songwriter in all my bands, right? I didn't want to take any of the things that that were full band songs that I had written and then, make them, solo folk songs. But I had this stack of songs that weren't punk enough or weren't rock enough or whatever for the bands that they would stack up over here, and that's when my drummer, Kevin, when he had that idea, he was like, why don't you go in the studio? He says, that stack is growing, take that stack. So I went into the studio for my first album with, I believe it was 44 songs ready to go. We cut it to 9, obviously.
Wow.
Then by the time I went in for my second album, I had written, another 13 or 14 new songs, but then I had these holdovers from the first album, so now I went in for my second album with over 50 songs, and now I've written... Since my second album, I think I've written 6 or 7 new songs. So it's just going to keep... So I'm going to keep going in the studio as long as I'm able to play a guitar. Maybe once a year or something. I don't know.
You're going to have to.
I'm a little studio rat. The studio that I go into, in my opinion, is the best studio in Phoenix, Audio Confusion. It's a great studio, great studio owner. He has to kick me out of the studio kind of sometimes. I'm like, I'll stay there all night. He's like, we're mastered. You're done recording. I'm like, I know, but I love this. I love the studio. I love being in the studio. I love the setting up of mics. I love getting the right, reverb. I love playback, picking out tiny little things vocally. Let's change that. I love being in the studio and recording is almost as much as I love writing and playing music. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a. I need to go sit in one.
Yeah.
I've never been in one.
You would love it.
Other than mine.
Well, let's do.
This isn't a recording studio.
It's up there though. You could record something in here, but let's just for shits and giggles, let's say by the next time I get in the studio, why don't you come and interview me in studio while I'm recording an album, maybe?
Oh wow!
Just throwing that out there.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Well, the road case is packed.
It is, and the road case has one of my stickers on it.
Absolutely,
so,
the desk does too. I just can't tell you where it's at.
Yeah, well,
there it is.
Oh, right there. Look at that. I'm everywhere.
Yep.
Yet nowhere at the same time.
So, what's the intermission song you're going to play?
I was going to. So this weekend. That's why I got my little cheat sheet. So last Friday, I lost my job, and I went into last weekend trying very, very hard not to freak out about suddenly not having a job. And when I have very complex emotions, a lot of times I don't know what to do with them except for focus on music. And so I got lost in that, and I ended up I've been kind of having an ongoing conversation with a very dear old friend of mine. And last year she lost her son to suicide. And the conversation just kind of went to I don't know what it was in me. But I asked her, I was like, would you like me to write a song, about it, to bring some exposure to, suicide and suicide prevention, and do something that would honor your son. And I didn't know if that was like the right thing to, ask, or and she was on board. And it kind of came out, the song came out as like a stream of conscious, just kind of like flew out of me. But the basis for it, I had asked her, I was like, okay, I really am going to do this. I really want to do this, for you and your family. Is there anything specific you would want to say, you would want me to say, and there anything specific that you want, like, heard about it? And she said to me, she goes, I have so much to say, but, like, also nothing at all, if that makes sense. Mm. And that was, like, the birth of the song. And that's, like, the opening line to it. So it was kind of a challenge because I know a thing or two about like suicide as a thought, or suicide is like people not directly in my life. It's something that's always been there, but I've never lost a family member, or even worse, a child to suicide. So I wasn't sure if this was gonna come out authentic. And I did it. I wrote it in about 2 hours. I sent her like a shitty little phone recording, and she immediately messaged me back, and she goes, "That's perfect." She goes, "Please, yes, go forward with that." And I said, "What would you like to call it? Because you get to call it. You're going to title the song. It's here for your family, for exposure, for honor to your son." And her nickname for him was Lou Bug, so the song is called Lou Bug Song, and it goes like this. Now, I just wrote it this weekend, so I'm going to try my best.
If it helps you.
Oh, can I put it up here?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if that
Nobody can see anything from the screen. Anyway.
I don't know if that was unprofessional. I have a little cheat sheet here.
Absolutely
not. But it goes a little something like this. This is Lou Bug's song. This is for Dre, if she's still listening. Love you, old friend. Sorry for your loss. Oh, wait a second. If I could play it right. So goddamn much I wanna say, but also nothing at all. I wouldn't trade tomorrow for today, son, but this is where I fall. I would have helped you fight and brought it into the light. Your song is without refrain. I would have taken your pain. Now I'm dark. You know the strain never goes away. Yeah, we just keep tripping ahead. No matter when I'm not okay, son, I know it's nothing I said. I would have helped you fight and brought it into the light. Your song is without refrain. I would have taken your pain. Now I'm dark. We don't talk about the disease, no, we just blame someone's mind. The weight of our world shoves us to our knees, son. I wish they would have been kind. I would have helped you fight and brought it into the light. Your song is without refrain. I would have taken your pain. Now I'm dark. I would have taken your pain. 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 Now I'm dark. I would have taken your pain. Now I'm dark. I would have taken your pain. Now I'm dark. Yeah. A little rusty on that one. Sorry.
No, absolutely. That was amazing. You just wrote it and haven't practiced it very much, so
Yeah.
outstanding.
Well, thank you. I think it's. I just really hope it means something to her and her family. That's a kind of loss. I wouldn't even try and act like I know what that's like. So
Well, condolences to Andrea.
Yeah.
Not taking any of the light away from the background on my website is STP concert.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 days later, a friend that went to that concert with me, there was 4 of us that went, ended his life.
Yeah.
And 2 days later. And yeah, it's that's why the text number and the phone number
For suicide prevention. Yeah.
prevention's on there.
And I mean, and that was something that another one of the main things, because what was important to me, that I wasn't doing something that was going to cause her more, pain and like refreshing the trauma. And she goes, no, we're at a point, we can't hide behind it. Our family we need to continue to grieve but heal. And she said this. She goes, if this song also, if you play it out sometime and there's that one person in the crowd who's hiding behind a smile, that this brings attention to it and makes them actually seek a little bit of help. The thing about suicide is that we need to check in on each other, right? And we don't talk about mental illness, and we don't talk about suicide, and we don't talk about addiction, and we need to be having those conversations. And we need to let people out there know that there's a lot of people that give a shit about them, that there is other options, that there is the suicide prevention hotline. Please use it. And it's also, I think, important for us that have struggled maybe with thoughts of suicide like I have in the past, that because of that, it kind of makes me, if you see somebody struggling, even if you don't know them, if they're a complete stranger, if you see somebody struggling, reach out. You might be the only person reaching out right at that time, and it might be the difference. So, that's kind of the song is for her and her family, and to maybe help them heal, but it's also, let's bring exposure, and let's have those conversations. They're not comfortable conversations, but it's better to be completely uncomfortable than to lose somebody that you love, right? So, yeah.
And I have sour emotions over it.
Yeah.
And I have another friend that had some issues and said something.
Yeah.
And I lit him up.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
And he got the riot act, and he finally climbed in that pretty little truck that he's got, and drove down to the doctor's office and got some help. And
I was going to say,
he's doing so much better.
That might have been his catalyst, right? But the thing, whether you were, a little bit harsh with him, it was because you gave a shit, right? And like you said, you didn't want to. And that's the thing about grief that we also don't talk about. I remember in college, I went to college late. I didn't start college until I was 37 years old, and I had a course at Arizona State University where it was all about mental illness and grief. And I'm sitting here reading the clinical definitions of grief and talking about there's the stages of grief, right? Anger, sadness, bargaining, that we've all heard of. And I'm sitting there reading it, and I'm, it's really profound. I'm like, yeah. But then what the books don't talk about is that grief is not linear. You do not go through the stages of grief in order.
Right. There's no steps.
And you can go from sadness to anger in 5 seconds, and then back to sadness again, and then back to and grief. And grief sits with everybody differently, and your grief from your previous loss, you were angry about it because you were in pain, but that anger sounded like it was your other friend's catalyst, right? So you gave a shit. That's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so it worked, and I'm glad that it didn't happen.
Yeah,
extremely.
Yep.
I was on the honor guard team.
Oh yeah.
And my department, because it was a suicide, got no.
Oh yeah.
And the challenge coin that we had at the time, with input from the rest of the team, I finalized all the designs and had it, and the proof was given to me for putting it all together, and that's what I gave his wife, because he wasn't at the celebration of life. He was he hadn't come back yet. He was off site, so I gave it to her to put with his urn when he came back. So, but next to family members, that was probably one of the hardest things in my life.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to bring attention to it. I didn't mean to bring the mood down like that.
No. It helps, because then you learn. I had my feelings and my beliefs, and when you have the ability to go get help and you don't, I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
And he had and didn't.
Yeah.
And there were some other underlying causes that not a lot of people know about, and one or two of us do, and nobody admits to it. Okay, we'll let that go with him, and we'll let those people think what they need to think to live the rest of their lives. Because, like as we talked about karma earlier, man, she may work slow, but she comes.
She comes. She comes eventually.
But that's my thing. Is there's so many people. You've been homeless that don't have anything, don't have the means, and aren't.
Yeah.
And you do, and you did, and that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, and it's not.
It's
that's the thing about it too is the feelings it leaves with us that are still here. We can never know what the last thoughts in somebody's mind were, and a lot of there's a lot of the times you don't see it coming. They were happy, present people, and they just did not share. So you never even knew, like, yeah. I mean, and that's that. Yeah, it's just
nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
We were, in fact, when we went to the concert, he had just moved into an RV down the street from where I lived, and it was 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, we get to hang out, and then 2 days later that happened. I'm like, well, there went that fucking idea.
Yeah.
So, but okay.
Yeah, let's talk.
So, what do you do in your free time outside of music?
And
I noticed you have a tattoo of a Super 55.
Of a what?
Super 55.
Oh, I'm right. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, wait, what? I do? Oh, that's right, I do. Well, get tattoos is another thing I do in my free time. No,
okay.
Most of my tattoo work was done by a very good friend of mine who's over at Guiding Light Tattoo now, but he also did the original artwork, cover album artwork for my newest album.
Okay.
So shout out to Guiding Light and Alex. I mean, my free time is playing music and watching Pokemon with my son, with my youngest son.
Okay.
He's a Pokemon fanatic. What I need to stop complaining about the heat or wait till the summer's over, and I need to go do a lot more Pokemon Go with him because he loves to do Pokemon Go. But I mean, my kids are, I know it sounds, cheesy to a lot of people or people that haven't had kids yet, but once you have kids, shit changes. It like they're your responsibility now, but it's not that. So you're looking at this little being and you're like, I've never loved anything more in my entire fucking life. So doing something with my son. I don't have a lot of free time, and I need to make more for him. Other than that,
next two of us, my son and my daughter.
It's just my daughters are older and they're out on their own over in Chicago, and I need to call them more too, or go out to Chicago more often. But I mean, outside of music and my kids, I probably should have more hobbies. But music, not only does it take up so much of my time and my emotions and my thoughts, but it's also a very expensive hobby because this isn't a career. I would love for it to be. Right. So when it's not a career, it's just a really fucking expensive hobby because I like very nice guitars and very nice pedals. But I probably should have more like hobbies or more something I do with my free time. When I was younger, I used to love like wandering around the woods, but now I'm old and my body aches, so I don't do that much. I read. I love to read. Like I was talking about earlier, when you grow up in abject poverty, and a lot of time you're facing like food insecurity or the possibility of homelessness or chaos and violence and shit. There's only a couple of things you have access to that really are for the most part free, and that's music, singing, making music, writing music, and libraries. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time at public libraries because they're free and books are free, so I still read a lot. So Pokemon with my son, reading, and that's about it outside of music. So So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've got all of mine are here, which makes me feel good because when my ex and I split, my two oldest stayed.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
And she didn't, which that's fine.
You want to keep the kid. Yeah, the kid. Yeah, they can stay.
Yeah, they can stay. 30 and 28. So and now I've got 6 and 3. So.
Well, you got that little gap too, right? Yeah.
Well, and then 3 grandkids too. So.
Goodness. I don't think the day is very far for me when I'm going to be a grandpa, and I'm like, that'll be a whole different kind of relationship with a child. But I don't know if I want to be called grandpa yet. Well, no, I do. I want to be called Papa. I want to be the Papa. That's what I want to be. Not grandpa. Call me Papa.
Right. Yes.
If it happens. All right.
Well, I get grandpa, so my kids call their grandfathers Papa. So,
Yeah.
so just to break it up and
Have some kind of differentiality or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Modern technology in music. This one's always because we grew up around the same times. A successful career then as opposed to a successful career today.
Oh, completely different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you were looking at gold and platinum sales.
Yeah.
Or if you were good enough for diamond sales. Then to today where it's all about streaming. And I just hope that these platforms are paying what they say they're supposed to be paying. I don't know that they are or not because I'm not on that side of the coin, but
Well, the only one that where any money goes directly to the artist and it's not some kind of fraction of a cent for every 1,000 streams like Spotify and Apple Music and all those, you don't really get paid for those. The only platform where most of it, like 85-90% of if you purchase goes to directly to the artist is Bandcamp. That's why I kind of try and push people towards Bandcamp. I mean, I want people to stream my music. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, don't. Yeah, go to Spotify, go to Apple, stream my music, and shit. Like, if you dig it, or if you have a family member or a friend that you think would dig it, by all means, please play it. Put it on playlists. I'm not, anti those platforms. But if you want the artist to get any of the money, then if you're going to purchase it from Bandcamp. That's really the only one that I've found that's worth a shit.
Right, definitely.
So, yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've purchased 2 albums since all the heydays of all the illegal downloading.
Oh, yeah. All the viruses we put on our computers with Napster. Yeah. I mean, I didn't do that. Neither did nobody I did. No. Nope, I didn't do it.
I don't have them readily available. Usually they're up here, and I like to pull them out because the last 2 Metallica albums I bought.
Yeah.
Because I always take the sleeve out and turn it so that I can access the vinyl.
Yeah.
And when I did, the card fell out.
For the download. For
the download of the digital because I bought the vinyl. And I'm like, yeah. How's that taste?
Yeah. I've noticed that too with some of the newer ones I've bought. I was like,
after Lars and the whole Napster thing and everybody that went to jail or got fined or whatever, now you're just giving it away.
Yeah, right. Kind of weird how that came full circle.
Right. Is that karma?
As much of a large part that Metallica played in my formative years, and I still think they're one of the greatest metal bands ever.
Oh yeah.
Lars kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, he pissed everybody off, but I think that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's just his
I think he pisses his own bandmates off too, so he's obviously very good at it. So. But he's a hell of a drummer.
Oh,
so,
Well, let's see. All sorts of stuff on here to talk about. You have any pre-show rituals? Other than stressing out?
Stressing out is the main thing.
Anything off the wall?
I mean, it's not really off the wall. I just don't. So, the last thing I do before I leave my house for a show is I brew ginger and lemon tea, hot tea for my vocal cords. and I drink that as the last thing I do before I go out the door. And then my only other thing, I don't even know if it's off the wall, I don't eat for hours before a set.
Okay.
And I usually don't eat until I'm on my way home at like 1 a.m. Part of that is because an irrational fear that I'm going to be on stage and I'm going to throw up all over everybody.
Right.
Because I ate something bad. Like how many times I've maybe had food poisoning twice in my fucking life, right? But in my head,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, and I'm going to be playing a song, and I'm going to be hit, and it's going to be one of the greatest sets I ever had. But then I like throw up on it, or maybe even shit my pants or something, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like so. Yeah.
You couldn't hit that note because you were clenched too hard.
Hit the brown note, as they say. So I mean, I don't really. I mean that ritual. I just. I don't know if this is a ritual or. Either it's either might be a ritual or it's maybe egotism, but I will try and listen to at least one or two of my songs, stream them of my own music. It's probably that sounds really shitty saying it out loud. That are on my set list for that night to make sure it's like in my head.
Get you in the groove. Totally. I totally understand that.
But saying it out loud makes me kind of sound like an egotistical prick. But yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, you wanted to know what desert folk meant?
Yes, desert folk.
So, I have I don't know necessarily what to categorize what it is that I do because it's not just straight ahead folk. It's not just straight ahead traditional. It's some of it's like so. I called it that because when I think of the desert, when I think of sounds of the desert in general is a very unforgiving place. Mm-hmm. That you have to be a survivor to pull it off. I'm talking plant world, animal world, human world. And so thinking about that, like the sound of the desert to me is harsh and dark. And it's like the music I write is like folk music with a very dark, a lot of folk music is kind of love songs or broken heart or these are folk songs that talk about dark shit and that have like there's like punk rock sensibilities. So Adam from Immortalized Productions, I've done quite a few shows with them. He's called me two things in all the shows I've done, and they both stuck. So outside of desert folk, and that's kind of why I always the sound of the sound of the desert. Then this kind of plays into it. He's called me punk adjacent, and then the most recent thing, the last show I did with him, he called me an acoustic bruiser. So I'm a desert folk. I'm punk adjacent, acoustic bruising desert folk. So how's that? Because it's not it's not as much as I love folk music and like the Dylans and the James Taylors and stuff like that. My music has a kind of a dark edge to it, and most of these songs were written in or near the desert, so thus desert folk, I guess. So
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense or if that's just that's discombobulated, just words I threw together. But it's just
just an idea, so that if anybody else ever sees it or hears it, and they go, okay, I kind of got an idea now.
Yeah.
And the other question was, I keep forgetting it.
I didn't mean to say ask me this question, would you? Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's definitely because we talked about that, and I hadn't asked that yet. So that's good on you, keeping me straight. Oh, man, let's see. Strangest thing any strangest things ever happened on stage? Like Tom Jones, they used to throw underwear at him. And
oh God, I wish I had that. Is it because the thing is that like I'm a painfully average looking man, and I look slightly more attractive with a guitar around me, but not enough to get panties thrown at me. Also, I think that my wife would get pretty. She might get, she might not like if women threw panties at me on the stage, anyways. So, strangest thing. There's been a lot. So that same show that I was talking about earlier, where when I started my set, literally, did we talk about this in the interview, or was it you and I talking about it before? It was in the interview.
I believe so.
I started a set, and I've had shows before where I'll be like, there was literally nobody watching me but the bartender, and it's like, ha ha ha. Whereas it was like 2 or 3 people. This time was the first time in my life where it really meant when I said the only other person in the venue when I started my set was the bartender. It was me and the bartender, and that was it.
Where was the sound guy?
And the sound guy.
Okay.
And the sound guy. But I think
outside
actually...
having a cigarette?
I think he actually... No, I'm pretty sure he did go outside because we did sound... Like, we didn't really do sound. We're just like, okay, so yeah, the mic's on because there's nobody here. I started my set. I did my first song to just the bartender. And right as I was finishing my first song, it was like 4 or 5 people came in. So I was like, okay, I can handle, like 4 or 5. I've played to 4 or 5 people before, and I like it. I'm fine with it. I'll sing my songs to nobody, obviously, when I played that set. But now that 4 or 5 people came in, just like par for the course, my primary guitar I use is sitting over there on the stage. It has a preamp in it.
Okay.
Which takes a 9-volt battery.
Right.
So when I went to start my second song, the fucking 9-volt battery was dead. But I didn't realize that's what it was. Now the sound guy was back in, and so it cut out. And I was still trying to sing and play, but I had no sound, so we stopped the song. Like, sorry, technical difficulties. We changed out, put a new instrument cable in it. Then I went and I played a couple of I did a couple of opening chords for that song again, and it was coming back through because the 9-volt battery wasn't completely dead yet. So we thought it was the instrument cable. So I went in again, and then it cut out again, and I was just like, and I audibly said, "Fuck it," and I stepped away from the microphone, and I did the rest of my set like I was playing in my living room with completely unplugged, no microphone. I just stepped like to stage left and just like finished my set like I was playing in my living room. And everybody, like, people seem to like it. So that's about the strangest thing that's ever happened to me.
That's cool.
And I just went with it. I was like, screw it. Like, I'm gonna do this set, whether the fucking equipment wants me to or not.
Right.
So.
Do you keep a 9-volt battery in your pocket now?
I have 2 in the glove box of my truck. I have a couple. There's 1 in the guitar case now. Oh yeah. I learned my lesson. Yeah.
Awesome. Another interview I did, they had that. We were talking about the tuning problem.
Yeah.
Going from environment to environment.
Yeah.
And ended up just having to wing it because couldn't get it tuned. Yeah. Period. And I'm like, that's just crazy. I've
actually early on in my career when I didn't have, I have a tuner, a tuning pedal on my pedal board. Mm-hmm. I also have like a clip, so at any given moment I can go out of tune. But when I was younger, I didn't have the money for that shit, and I would do shows, and if my guitar went out of tune and I didn't, it's hard to do it by ear when you got the stress of being on stage and you like get somebody play me an E. No, I would like turn to my bass player and be like, okay, this isn't in G anymore, it's now in G flat, so just follow me. Fuck it. Instead of tuning, right. Instead of doing something simple as tuning or
let's just adjust it and roll.
Let's just completely change the fucking song and play it in a different key and play it flat.
So long as it's your song.
Yeah.
It's your song.
It's my song. I could do whatever the hell I want with it.
Absolutely. Somebody totally changed the lyrics of one of their songs because they forgot them.
Because they forgot the lyrics.
So they just rewrote the song.
Oh, I've been there,
in
done
the middle
that.
of
it. I've winged it with lyrics before. There's something. So it's one thing to be playing a cover. I don't play that many covers, but there's a lot of artists I love to play their songs like at home. But I've done some covers before on stage. It's one thing to forget the lyrics of somebody else's song. There's something very soul crushing about forgetting lyrics to a song you fucking wrote.
Right.
It's just like, wow.
It's like forgetting your own name.
Yes. Seriously. Yeah. Which I've done that before too. So.
Here's an idea for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take this and run with it too. Write a song for that occasion when it's just you and the bartender.
There you go.
And it's called Bartender, I Fucking Love You.
Bartender, I Fucking Love You. You know what? Even if I don't write a song with that subject matter, I am going to name a song Bartender, I Fucking Love You. Just for you. Because the funny thing is, like, a lot of my songs, the song title doesn't really have anything to do with the subject matter. It's just kind of what was going through my head at the time. Like a newer song I wrote recently was about, it's about feeling like you don't fit in even with the sober crowd. You didn't feel like I never felt like I fit in fully when I was hanging out with addicts. I felt like an outcast. And then I kind of feel like an outcast as a sober person for, 12 years. So it should have been called something, but my son had, he makes his own comics. He's a really, really bright kid. He's hilarious. He's funny. And he loves writing his own comics, and he does his own little, Pokemon universes. And he had made this character and called it Tree Lord. So I named the song Tree Lord, because that was what was going through my head instead of sitting down and thinking like, I should have a thoughtful song title for this song that reflects what it's about. For some reason, here's a random thought, and that's the name of the song. So I'm going to name one of my songs Bartender, I Fucking Love You.
Okay.
So look for that in the future, whether it's about a bartender or not. I mean,
yeah.
But
at least make the bartender feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you could collaborate with anybody,
past or present, alive or dead.
Yeah.
Could I pick one that is still alive?
Absolutely.
And then one and then a 1A. I mean, there's so many, so many.
This is our opportunity to learn about you. So, when it comes to the answers, they're you.
The thing about being, I really truly do. I'm not one of those people that say I love all types of music. I mean, I really, really do. There's hip hop artists I love. I love bluegrass. I love metal. I was nothing but. There was a stage in my life where I stopped listening to everything else from about 99 to like 2000. It was nothing but metal, death metal, black metal, speed metal, hair metal. So I have heroes for kind of each kind of thing. Like my overall rock and roll vocal hero is Freddie Mercury. There hasn't been a frontman better than him. If I could collaborate with him vocally, if I could collaborate with anybody on a guitar, it'd be David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. If I could collaborate with another singer-songwriter, it would be Joe Purdy, who is probably my overall hero. As far as he's an amazing songwriter and nobody really knows who he is, and he's still alive and he's pumping out albums. So I guess maybe overall it would be Joe Purdy. But I mean, if I could have like a vocal collaboration with Freddie Mercury, like I would shit my pants. Like just singing next to him, or playing rhythm guitar while David Gilmour is doing a solo behind me would just be. I would probably die. I would probably die. So, I mean, I have a lot. So I just gave you a very convoluted answer. But those are the three that pop out at me. Freddie Mercury, David Gilmour, and Joe Purdy.
Awesome.
So,
what is your favorite song to play?
Of mine, or I really like playing. It's actually the one that you, when you came and saw me at the at Blues. The one that you made a video of. It's called Antipsychotics and Red Bull. And the reason I love playing that one is because it's not only is it a very, very honest song, and is very just like it. Like I almost, there's times where I almost can't play it because of like where those lyrics came from. But it's also it's a pretty hard song to play live. And I love like throwing that on as many set lists as I can, because I'm keeping myself like on my toes, because it's a challenge. But instead of like chicken shitting away from it, like no, that's going in the set list, and it's fun to play. It's got a really neat harmony that I love. I love doing the vocals for it. I love the guitar for it. I have a little spacey effect I do for it at the beginning. So overall, I love playing that song.
It's on the station, so yes.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I love play. It's probably my favorite one to play of my stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you answered the second question. What's your hardest song to play? So
that one is probably the hardest one to play. It's
your
just
favorite and your hardest.
My favorite and my hardest, and I think that's why it's my favorite. Is because it's the hardest one to play live. None of my songs are by any means complex or technically impressive, but that one has the most going on. So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite performance that you've had in the past? Just one that was just, for whatever reason, it just seemed better than, I guess, maybe the rest.
This goes to, I've had so many what I feel like just felt great with this solo project in the last year and a half that I've been doing it, but like overall, like my whole career, I was in this band. I was with Kevin, my drummer that I've talked about. This was 2 bands ago. And it was a 4-piece, and it was the best band I've ever been in. It was by far the most talented band. We went down. There's this great band out of Tucson called Flying Half Full. I don't know if you've seen them ever. They play the blues sometimes, but we used to play with them a lot, and they invited us down to Tucson to do an open mic, or not open, but to do a battle of the bands.
Okay.
And we went down there. It was House of Bards in Tucson. It was 4 Tucson bands. We were the only Phoenix band in it, and we were like out of our city, out of our element. These Tucson bands brought their crowd. There was probably about 60 people there or so, and all 60 of them were there for their Tucson bands. Nobody traveled. We didn't bring anybody. Nobody traveled with us. We're just driving down to, and we got up there, and we only do 3 songs, and we picked what we were pretty sure were our 3 strongest songs. And we were so on. That's probably the most on I've ever been with any band. We fucking nailed it. And it was crowd vote, and the people that work there would vote. It was crowd vote, and the bartenders and the wait staff and stuff. That's who voted for it.
Okay.
And again, remember, all these people were there for their Tucson bands. We won that Battle of the Bands because we fucking nailed it. And everybody was just like, the whole staff was just like, holy shit. So that was probably like, we finished our last song, and the place was louder than maybe any gig I've ever played. So that's probably the one that sticks out to me.
Okay. Sorry, my daughter joined in the chat on Twitch, and
oh, cool.
she was throwing a bunch of questions, and she got me all confused.
See, there's that squirrel thing
again. The bartender song, Sitting at a Bar, it's on the Graffiti the World by Rehab. I don't think they know that one.
Nope.
But winning Battle of the Bands is legit. Yes, yeah. It is, definitely.
Yeah. Because I've been in Battle of the Bands before, where it feels like there's already kind of a decided winner going into it. You know what I mean? They're the ones that kind of know the ownership of the bar the best, and But this one we went in with. I think that was kind of we had nothing to lose, so we're just gonna fucking nail these songs, and we did. So.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Nailing them. When Penny and Travis were doing them there for a while. What I got to experience was just phenomenal, and the one that I got to witness the finals, the band that won,
mm-hmm.
but the band that came in second ended up winning too.
Yeah,
they ended up. In fact, Tommy was there and judging, and the winner got 3 recorded tracks.
Oh, nice. It's a good prize.
And so second place was so good that he gave them a single.
Nice.
Recorded in studio. So that's when you know that when the guy that's got the grand prize also gives second place a Benny, then you know it was a good show.
And that's and I don't want this to come off as like I don't appreciate when somebody that saw one of my shows comes up and loves what I do, because I love that. I love it. Be like, let me tell me where to stream your music. I love what you're doing. I had a lady come up to me at a show after Palo Verde about 6 months ago and said that she's like, I just want you to know that your songs, exposing mental illness and addiction. She had lost her son to an overdose, and she goes, your music really hit me. Like that means, and I love that, and that means a lot, and that's one of the reasons why you keep doing it. But when another artist or another one of the bands you played with that night comes up and goes, dude, your set was fucking killer, that hits harder.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? That hits like when another, and I love when I hear that, and it means it hits harder. It hits harder.
It's not in competition, but it is.
But it is.
And when they compliment, that's where.
Especially when it's bands like there's so many bands that I'm now starting to play with, bands and acts that I'm starting to play with quite frequently. Right? It started off as like I hadn't played with this band before, and I'm playing with all these new bands. Now I'm like, I don't want to like name drop or anything, but there's extremely talented acts and bands that I'm starting to do multiple shows with now that it started off them coming up and saying, I love what you do, let's do more shows, like Stereo Christ or right. 73 Libra, Lockseed, Killing Sunday, Rad Pinkard, Luigi Leone. I mean, these are people like when I see their set, I'm like, holy shit, I wish I was at that level. But then when they come up and go like, I really dig what you do, let's do other shows. That just like that makes, I'm like, okay. So when you kind of start fading out and you're like, should I still be doing this? Holy shit, I played to 3 people last night. That brings you right the fuck back up. You're like, okay, let's keep doing this shit. Let's keep doing this shit. So, yeah.
Well, I've been there even on this end.
Yeah. Where you're like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah. Because sometimes it can get frustrating.
It can, and you wonder if it's like, if you're, if it's, because I think I have a feeling that this is another thing that you and I agree on, is that you do this is one of the things you do for yourself but for others. And if they're not both hitting at once, like where it's meaning something for you and you also have feedback from people like, keep doing Yeti Radio, like sometimes if they're not hitting at the same time, if one is missing or they're both missing, you're like, I'm gonna hang it up. Fuck this shit. And then usually right around that time, all it takes is one person to come back into your life, or, I was kind of, because I lost my job last Friday, I was having like, is this really something I should do? And then I came in here and you've energized me again. So, sometimes you need that, for, you can kind of lose it very fast, like where you were just passionate, but then 2 days later you're like, is this fucking doing anything? Does it mean anything to anybody? So. Well,
I've had a couple of interviews cancel.
Yeah.
One for, both for reasons, significant reasons. Not waiting for either one of them to get back to me and reschedule. But one got a gig on the day that we were supposed to. Hey.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you just kind of take it a little bit personal inside, right? You're still like, yeah.
Well, yeah, because now I ended up with these 2 weeks that were open, and having 1 week off was okay, and then it was supposed to be today. Yeah. In fact, they have their show down in Tucson.
Okay, good for them.
But I hope the show is going outstanding for them, and I hope they're having a blast. Because, but then you popped up, and I'm like, why haven't I? Because there's so many people I want to get in here, and
everybody wants to. Everybody that's met you wants to get in here and do it. So too. So yeah.
Except one, but he's okay. He just doesn't like the interview period.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
He's just difficult like that. He'll be all right. But have you played at the Rooms?
No, I have not.
Okay. Are you slotted anytime? Because I know they got a ton of shows coming up that's going to be out there.
I don't think so? That I have an in there. I don't really know anybody there.
All right.
So
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Cool.
I'd like to hear you in there. because it's.
Is that where Brian Mogul plays? Is that the
he plays the blues and he plays over there.
Okay, then
the 26th will be over there.
The one with all the female lead vocals. Okay, yeah. Brian, that's another one I should have mentioned. When I get to do shows with Brian Mogul, when you're in the presence of that man, like that's a guitar legend. That's a local guitar legend. So
yes, definitely.
When he asked me to do, there's 3 promoters and or artists that when they like reach out to me and they're like, do you want to be part of this set? I drop what I'm doing. That's Adam with Immortalized, Antibacteria Cafeteria, and Brian Mogul. Brian Mogul reaches out to me. He's like, "Hey, I got a slot." Yes, absolutely. I don't even look to see if I have anything else going on, because I will cancel something else to do a show with Brian Mogul.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I still need to get with the AC guys whenever they're having something. I can't get the stars and planets to align.
Yeah.
I finally got to do Unity. Mm-hmm. So I got one more in. I need to catch some of their shows, and I really want to. It's just everything has to align, and a lot of people don't understand that. And then I get comments, "Hey guys," or everybody at the Yeti Radio. It's only the Yeti.
Yeah.
So being in more than one place at one time is difficult. I've actually been in 3 places in one night, and that was torture. 2 is okay. I can manage 2. Trying to do 3.
I don't. 2 was 2 almost killed me on April of this year. April 22nd was Record Store Day.
Okay.
I also decided to release my new album that day, even though I don't have vinyl pressings of it. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did play in store at a record store, Canadian Records.
Okay.
But then also, since it was Record Store Day and I was releasing my new album, I was like, I'm going to do a show at night in Tempe too. So I went in and played in store and I also was trying to go live with the music because I released it digitally. So I fucked around with that all morning. Finally was able to get it released, get the album cover out there, all that shit. Then I went in from 12:30 to 1. And it went over. Actually started late and went over. I did a show in store at Canadian Records, and then I had a show, and I was on first or second at like 6 p.m. out in Tempe. And it was like, I got back from that, unloaded my gear, ate some lunch, and it was time to go again. And I'm not 25 anymore. Like by the time that show was over, because I'm a firm believer in that whether I'm on first or whether I'm on last, I show up at the beginning of the show, because you support every band that you're on that bill with. I don't think there's, like maybe if you have to relieve a babysitter or something, but you show up for everybody, whether you're on first or last. So I was there till 1 a.m. and I'm driving home from that show in TV. I'm like, I'm never doing 2 shows in one day again. Fuck this shit. Right. I probably will, because I'm dumb. But I mean, 2 almost killed me, man.
Well, it's not dumb. It's the love for what you do.
Yeah.
And it's all that it is, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I see so many people do so much, and there's a lot of it that gets me is when I can't get to someone's show
that you want to go to,
that I want to go to, and not that I don't want to go to the ones that I go to. But there's there's some bands that I haven't seen, and I want to go see them, but it just does not line up, and it gets frustrating.
Well, and when you get as immersed in the scene as like you are, or I'm trying to be, you make a lot of connections and you make a lot of friends. I mean, those bands I mentioned just a little bit ago that I just do multiple shows with, and that the more connected you get, the more contacts and bands you're going to know, and you can't make it out to all their and you want to, and it kills you.
Oh, yes.
When one of your artist friends has a show and you're like, you can't make it, especially when, I mean, it's happened to me before where they've shown up for me and I haven't been to a show of theirs, and I'm like, oh, I feel like shit. So I had a member of Lockseed come and see me last Wednesday night at Crescent, and they had a show fairly recently that I should have gone to, and I didn't. And then they came and supported me, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm such an asshole. So, but sometimes like it's hard. I mean, I want to go. I want to go to every I want to go to every local show of any artist I know that is happening at any given moment in Phoenix, but that's just too many damn people. Because there's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of talent here.
And they cross-book like crazy.
Yep, they sure do. So, yeah.
And I don't know if some of them don't do it on purpose.
Well, I mean, that's why you get on the same page. You know, like I'm doing a show at Rebel Lounge in September.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if I can shout out, I have a
Absolutely.
show. I have a show next Saturday at Focal with my really good friends, Killing Sunday. Fucking love that band. You know Killing Sunday, don't you?
They were here.
Love Killing. Oh, they've done it. Yeah,
they've been here.
Frank with all of Killing Sunday.
Yes.
Last time I played with them, I actually jumped on stage with them and helped them cover "Come Together." It was one of the funnest on-stage moments I've ever had.
Awesome.
But next Saturday, the 26th at Focal, I'm playing with Killing Sunday and Luigi Leone. And then September, is it 14th or 15th? Oh my God, I suck. It's a Thursday at Rebel Lounge. You can get tickets online at their website for cheaper than day of show. But I somehow kind of nosed myself into. There's 3 amazing bands here that are just drum and bass, drum and bass. 73 Libra, Stereo Christ, and Lockseed. Mm-hmm. And they've been kicking around this idea for a long time. They were going to call it the 2x2x2 show. Just a showcase of drum and bass bands. And all 3 of those bands, if you've seen any of them, are fucking phenomenal. They sound like a 5-piece, Caramello band.
Stereo Christ is. I've seen them, and I was just like,
they're blown away.
Blown away.
Yeah. And you would 73 Libra if you love them, then 73 Libra and Lockseed too. So, but they're doing it. That's what this Rebel show is. It's the 2x2x2 show.
Oh,
and
awesome.
because I've been kind of following, like writing all 3 of their coattails because they're so damn talented, I got added to it. So it's now the 2x2x2x1 show, and that's happening in Rebel. I'm really excited about that because I've never been able to get into Rebel, but then when you hook up with a band as talented as like Stereo Christ or 73 Libra, they'll get you into Rebel. So you just kind of ride in, with them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, next Saturday at Focal, Killing Sunday, myself, Luigi Leone, and then September, God, is it 14th or 15th? It's a Thursday at Rebel Lounge. If anyone's interested, I was going to forget to say that I'm very bad about promoting myself.
Thursday's the 14th.
14th, September 14th. So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to get that. I'm very bad about promoting myself. People will be like, why didn't you tell these people about your next show? And I'm like, because I fucking forgot. So, yeah.
Those are the only 2 shows you got coming up?
That I can think of off the top of my head, because I'm probably missing something that's probably very important. I do know that the next Paint Punk is coming up in November. I've done all 4 of those. It's a really cool event where it's live music while the live bands are playing. You have local artists doing live murals. You have people selling their jewelry or their patches or their shirts that they make. It's all local, and it's called Paint Punk. That's coming up in November. I'm trying to get. I'm hooking up with some other like solo acoustic artists. We want to get this like my end goal. Like I will always love and I will continue to be that support of like punk and metal shows, because somehow what I do kind of fits as a warm up for punk bands. It's punk adjacent. It's not punk, but it's punk enough. I love doing those, and I will always do those. And I'd like a drop of a hat. Adam from Immortalized asked me to do something. I will absolutely do it. But my kind of vision with a couple other artists is to start getting some focus on having bills that are all like folk and folk punk and acoustic, instead of just being the supporting act for punk.
We're going to talk after this.
Okay.
I have some information for you.
Oh, sweet. All right.
On something that might do quite well.
Hell yeah.
But definitely, I can't wait to see you again. And when I started this, there was a handful of bands when I came across bands in town, and it was like, what's all this?
Yeah.
And one of those bands in particular, it took me 6 years to see them live. And it's crazy. And the other thing I wish is like how I do the event for interviews.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do it for. I think I'm starting to. If I haven't started it, I'm going to start it for New Music Monday, as well. But I think everybody needs to do those.
Yeah.
Every band on the card should do one, but it helps because if you click interested or going or whatever, it puts it on your calendar.
And you'll get a reminder of it.
Yeah, and it's there, and you can remember that it's there. And I've missed a couple of shows because I'm just like, I couldn't find the flyer again.
Yeah, because they posted it in April for a show in August. Yeah. Which I'm guilty of too. I get a show at it. I get so excited. I'm like, I'm going to post it now, and then by the time it comes around, my friends are like, I completely forgot about that. So
yeah, definitely. So just the way, and then a lot of bands still need to put their info on their socials, and if they don't have a website and it's not on the website, because trying to set up for even interviews, I have to message them. Okay, who's all the members of the band? Because I can't find it anywhere. So, but if it's already there, then I get set for the interview or whatever. Even if it's the promoters, they know who's in the band. So and if you have an account and you put it in blue, then they can look up each individual person. But
that's the advantage of being solo, though.
It's just you.
But one thing I found, like in this was an idea that came from my daughters when they told me you need to like get with tech, like you're starting to act like an old man. What I've done, and it is very affordable, if not free, because you don't have to do the paid subscription. But what I've done, that little quick link on all my social medias, is also this. It's a electronic business card, right?
Oh.
People will buy these for as business cards, but it's a digital business card, and I can tap a phone. That's right. You have one too. I knew there was someone else, and it was fucking you. And that little it's a little jumping off. It's a contact card, but it looks like a website.
Yes.
And it's like it's every artist I see that like doesn't have like web presence. I'll be like, get one of these because it looks professional. You go to it, and then there's a jumping off point. You go to the little Popple site, and it has like direct links to every single streaming platform I'm on. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Bandcamp, all of it.
Right. It'll add you to the contacts on your phone.
I think that's I wish more artists were aware of that and could go down that route, because like web hosting and all that. I mean, that shit. It's not only is it a lot of work, but you probably have to buy a domain. Yeah, it's just this way. I like.
And if you can't get the domain you want, like me, I had to find one that I could get the same name in all the platforms.
And all the platforms, yeah.
That's why it's the Yeti Radio, when it was just a show, or it was just a radio jock.
Yeah.
So, everybody's like, why radio? Because that's the only thing I could come up with that I could find on every platform.
That was available, yeah. That was available.
So I just grabbed all of them and we're good. And whenever something new pops up, I go get it, and whether I use it or not, like that new one, what's it called? I don't know, the new one from Instagram.
Oh yeah, the
Threads
or something like that. It's
I went and grabbed it. Just I don't do anything with it.
It's Twitter for Instagram.
Yeah, but
I grabbed it too, and I don't think I've gone back on.
Yeah, just to keep it safe. Yeah. Don't want anybody to. Not that anybody wants to be me, but
you never know. You never know.
But well, I tell you what. What do you want to close out with?
I could do another one I wrote over the weekend.
Okay. Awesome. Love new music, fresh right here on the Yeti Radio.
It is. It's fresh. It was a song that the idea for has been there, and there was other iterations of it that just were not working. So, for the chorus anyways, right? So I pushed it away. It came back. It just came flooding back this weekend, and I finished it. And the theme behind this is like I've alluded to earlier, probably a couple of times in this interview. I got sober quite a while ago. I've been sober for it'll be 11 years this December. the longer you're sober, the further you are separated from active use, the more clarity you get healthier emotionally. And that's all been very evident, I think. But if you don't actually honestly address your mental health, then you don't really ever do yourself justice. And so in the last 7 to 8 months, I've actually addressed my mental health professionally. And I'm working with a doctor who is saying that I absolutely have to deal with my childhood traumas and the chaos and the homelessness and all they did. I've been suppressing it all these years. So this is a song about a conversation I had with my doctor where he goes, you have to have a relationship with your inner child. And I remember cringing at that. I'm like, that cheesy inner child thing. But he put it in terms, the child that you are, the child that you were, is the oldest part of you. That's been there. That's always going to be there. And the child in me was fucked up, and I never dealt with it. And so this song is about like a conversation, like right now me is having with the child that's in me that's never gotten a chance to heal. And it's about saying to that sad, scared child that it's okay and that you didn't do anything wrong. And the other theme to this song is I'm doing my best to right now be the kind of adult that I wish I would have had when I was a kid in crisis. So that's what this is about. It's called The Light When It Bends. And it goes like this.
Real quick, if I may.
Yes.
Andrea says thank you for playing the song.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's on Twitch saying hi. So
good. Well, hi, Dre. I'm so glad. I'm very glad you got to listen. I really, really am. Really, really am.
All right, closing out tonight. Here's Heathen, right here on the Yeti Radio.
You walk in alone, somehow leaving with less. You kill yourself to prepare, but still you fuck up that test. We are dust, we are stars. We are freed by the scars. But I won't leave. Even if you stay. 'Cause the things that we should grieve may only be here today. Let go what's already said. Change the things that you can. Own the chaos and noise. Protect the boy, this man. We are fire, we are mine. Colors bending the light. But I won't leave.
Then, right here on the Yeti Radio. This concludes tonight's interview, and I want to thank you, sir, for joining me.
Anytime.
It's been a total, complete pleasure, and
feelings mutual.
A lot of fun. We'll
Yeah.
definitely have to do it again. Maybe
Hell
we'll
yeah.
do it in studio.
Hell yeah. I'm
definitely
throwing
be
that
interesting.
idea out there. Hell yeah. So,
But thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Look forward to catching you live again, because it's always amazing. So
thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you Monday night at 8:30 for New Music Monday. And they've been rolling in all week long, so we got another bunch for you. So stay tuned, and we will catch you then.
The Yeti, the Yeti, the Yeti.
You are about to participate in a great adventure.
The Rock Block.
Unregulated radio would result in programming of the lowest common denominator, the rule of the mob.
The Yeti.
So full of life.
The Yeti.
So full of energy.
And power!
The Yeti.
This radio person is the whole problem.
The Yeti.